Hi there, Azer here. I know it's been a while since I've actually, you know, made a video like this. I have my own reasons. I had, long weeks of hard work and just don't really have enough time at all to, sit in front of my PC for the most part. And the work is pretty grueling. At the moment, I'm still recovering from my illness on a break day, so hopefully I'm able to recover and bounce back, but it'll take some time. But the main reasoning on why I wanted to make this video here is to address some of the players' concern on PSO2 New Genesis. Oh man, oh boy. I know the recent headline is really bare bones. Yes, it's another rehash content, another R2 of an existing boss that has no lore whatsoever again, and then we had to fight them again because they now updated the HP to be a much more HP spongier boss again. But you know what? Just like how Soulless R2 is, I think it'll be fine. I think the Lion is not really that hard because halfway through the whole entire match, you actually uses a cannon instead, which is actually, pretty easy. And it makes everybody just equalize in terms of power level, so it's a fair fight. However, I think the most interesting fact in the whole headline is definitely the reveal of the Splinter Realm things. Now, I guess they are calling it a Splinter Realm because they don't really want to make it similar to Outer Realm in some way. I mean, Outer Realm is basically the reverse version of Alpha, and it made sense that they are going to build the story from there because they don't really want the players to leave Planet Alpha anytime soon. So the clever way for them to bring back old PSO2 assets or flip them and reuse them back is to maybe create a pocket dimension that, like the time travel back into the past and rediscovering the older PSO2 maps as another weird realm again. So I know there's a lot of mixed reactions to this. Some people are actually taking it very nicely. There are some people who are very optimistic about this route because it really does just means that, eventually NGS will circle back to Base PSO2. That means every single content from Base PSO2, except for maybe the casino part, is going to come back in NGS in some way or another. And I'm especially hoping that crafting system will return in a much better and streamlined way so we can actually utilize our older weapons with much more special, unique potentials, I suppose. For example, I believe a lot of players really wanted to go back to the no critical RNG based weaponry. Like, it has a potential that allows you to hit the 100% damage floor of the weapon, I suppose, instead of, relying on the 70% or 50% RNG all the time, like all the weapons are at the moment. That was actually quite a decent potential, and I wish we can actually go back to that by utilizing the crafting systems. Maybe in the future we can see a much better challenge mode where we can explore the entirety of Alpha from level 0 to level 115 or even beyond, maybe like something like that, and then we can actually share our loot with other players to make sure that everybody has the best loadout possible to clear the challenge mode. Something like that would be fun. Maybe even the PvP mode, and maybe if they make it somehow work in the NGS engine, I don't know, that might be pretty cool, but it'll probably be just a separate arena instead of an open PvP, kind of an ordeal. But hey, it is possible now because we are currently having to fight other arcs in Outer Realm. So I think it's inevitable that we will have humanoid arcs like enemies eventually that we get to fight, just like how in Base PSO2 we get to fight a lot of the humanoid bosses like in episode 4, 5 and 6, which is definitely a harken back to the base game, of course. Now, of course, So some people might also have a very pessimistic view about this whole copy pasting ordeal. Like, sure, the map definitely just looks like a one-to-one copy of the Ruins exploration, but at the same time, they actually had to update the graphical fidelity of the assets, so I mean, it's still technically something new because you have to remember, NGS don't really have the randomization that the original base game has in terms of like the exploration missions, I guess. So who knows what will happen to it? Maybe in the future we'll be able to get all of these base PSO2 maps in the form of Splinter Realms, and that would at least add more variety in terms of like our limited time quests, varieties, and maybe more dungeons that's actually built with this. For example, maybe like the if I'm not wrong, there's actually some very cool endgame game modes in base PSO2 that actually is pretty worthwhile, like endless modes, endless quests, or that quest that requires you to collect points and stuff, and there's a boss rush of sorts. Yeah, those kind of modes is definitely possible to go back into NGS already with this possibility in mind. Now, I do not understand why people are not expecting this at all from the start, especially when we got the reveal of the Nameless City and with all the Ruin bosses, which are basically just darkened versions of base PSO2 bosses. I'm already expecting most of the base PSO2 bosses or maps are going to somehow appear in NGS in the far future, and my guess was actually quite correct. So I do not understand why people are angry against the developers for trying to bring back content when they actually enjoying the new Luther boss fight, which also has a lot of very unique boss fight elements that have never appeared before in the Passport Dark Files bosses as well, by the way. So I think the developers are very good at remixing old content, so at least they are able to do that. If they were to try to make something original again, I bet you 100% that the players is going to definitely hate it as much as how we got the whole alpha biomes revealed to us, I guess. Because let's be real here, everybody is playing Phantasy Star not because of the open world, it's because of the variety of the biomes we get to explore, the variety of planets in space that we get to explore, and all those sci-fi stuff that we enjoy for the longest time. So I guess it's a win for me. I don't really expect them to suddenly change their method of developing the game from 0 to 100 suddenly after the whole feedback we sent them. So I'm actually quite patient with them, and I just hope they will have much better content coming up in the next 2 to 3 months, because according to the feedback, I believe they have received all of our player feedbacks pretty clearly, especially from the Japanese players and also from the global players as well. Hopefully they really go research on why the base original PSO2 was so good in comparison to whatever we got in NGS. The Phantasy Star crew developers, in terms of the design of the gameplay side of things, really needs a whole lesson on how to make interesting looking worlds from PSO2, the original game. And I hope the seniors from those days would actually be able to return and help them out to at least align their visions together to make NGS more like a Phantasy Star game instead of straying away from it. And that's the only hope I have for this game for the longest time. And you know what? For the rest of you guys who still are playing the game, I'll just give this music video for you guys, and I think you probably understand how to enjoy the game best. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Sayonara.
Learning how to stand when the ground gives out. Getting used to quiet when the noise dies down. I can see the damage when